You're listening to Bottomshelf Bitcoin. This is episode 53.
Relax. Enjoy your coffee. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Take a chill pill. Okay.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Bottomshelf Bitcoin, the podcast that puts Bitcoin knowledge within everyone's reach. As always, I'm your host, Josh Humphrey, and today with me, I've got Carlos from Satoshi's Games, and we are going to be talking about Lightnite. Carlos, welcome.
Hi, thank you. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So let's get into this. Kind of give us like a real brief introduction into like Satoshi's Games and what Lightnite is.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So Satoshi's Games is a game development and software development company that is building solutions on top of Lightning Network. So the mission of the company is to actually create, it's trying to build a better gaming experience where technology creates a cutting edge and disruptive experience for gamers. And Lightnite is the actual case scenario where we are testing this mission by creating a game which is very attractive, or we're intending to make it very attractive for everyone, and then integrates Lightning into the game. So
very cool. Oh, go ahead. I was just gonna say, like, so how did Satoshi's Games get started?
So it got started 1.5 years ago, and it was during the Lightning Hack Day, the number 2, one of those events. They are organized by Fulmo, the ones who are actually created the Lightning Conference a few days ago. And it started as a model to test and create the benchmark results for whether it makes sense to create games that integrate Lightning, and so we can have a liquid version of Bitcoin within the game experience. And it kind of was interesting at the beginning because it was all me alone. And once I started to find people along the way that they were really interested about the project, and some of them joined on board, and now they are full time on this. And some of them, just came and then left. It was very interesting. And yeah, it started like 1.5 years ago, and we've been growing since then.
Very cool. And so Lightnite is kind of your first big product, is that right? Or have you had other things?
Yeah, we've been building some web-based games where we implement Lightning in the core structure of the games, so we can test how the gaming experience is using Lightning. So we can stand out some games such as Super Bro or Lightning Agar. And yeah, it's been pretty cool, but we are putting this bet on Lightnite. We are putting all of our resources for creating this game and making it a big impact for the actual Bitcoin mainstream adoption. So yeah.
Very cool. All right, so let's get into it then. Give us kind of a explanation. My understanding is it's kind of based on Fortnite in a loose sense, that similar concept of the game itself. But I'm not really much of a gamer, and I haven't ever played Fortnite. So kind of walk us through what Lightnite is.
Yeah, well, people tend to think that it's like just basically a Fortnite with Bitcoin payments, which is actually it's not. I mean, that's a brief version of describing it, but it's way beyond that. So as a brief sentence, I would describe it basically as an online multiplayer battle royale game. It's designed by all gamers, so everyone, either if he's a Bitcoin enthusiast or is a no-coiner or average gamer, they can feel attractive to play this game in a freemium way. And yeah, but also integrates Bitcoin for the most innovative or advanced, gamers, that they can have this as an optional feature. And it's pretty cool because we want to do with this game an actual big thing. We want to actually contribute for the Bitcoin mainstream adoption, as I said before. And the way we're doing this is adding the points on the game as satoshis, but the actual gamer, they don't realize that they are using Bitcoin or using this technology until or unless they go to the advanced settings and they actually enable them, so they can check out that they can actually withdraw those rewards. And that's when they understand or they are starting to believe that this is cool. and then they started to probably fall in the actual rabbit hole.
Very nice. So you're kind of sneaking in this desire to learn about Bitcoin on people.
Yeah. I mean, they can always use that balance they have in their account to keep purchasing items in the store and continue using for the game, but they can also have the option to actually extract the value from the platform, from the game itself, and reuse it for any other purpose they want to do. So that's the main interoperability phase that we want to address on this game.
Yeah, and my understanding is that's not really something you can do in other games, right? Like if you bought is it V-Bucks? That's what it is on Fortnite, right?
Yeah.
Is there a way to get your money back out of V-Bucks directly through the game?
No. Right now it's just in the game. I mean, most of the games itself, they have this option where you can buy community content or use skins, cosmetics content of the game, and then once you use it and you don't no longer want to use it, you cannot actually sell it. And in case you can sell it, you cannot sell it for a currency that allows you to use it outside of this game or platform. So it is kind of restricted and limited.
Yeah, and so even just in that sense, this is kind of a revolutionary deal that if you wanted to get your money back out, you can.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So yeah, let me also add some other content, some more data about the game itself and what's so different to Fortnite. It's not just basically a Fortnite. So the game is developed on top of a scarce asset, Bitcoin. And it's cool because it creates a scarcity within the game experience. And I mean, and what I actually mean is that we're actually implementing these season passes. And every season pass comes with lots of missions, skins, updates like, new parts of the map, different themes, character animations. But this is pretty interesting. Some of the skins and cosmetics that items that they are coming in every season pass, they are limited amount, which means there is a limited supply per season pass of skins, of some of those skins. And this is interesting because when I used to play in a normal mode, which is the mode that you can wear your purchase skins or characters, play with them as much as they want, you can show up to the game, but at the end of the game, when you either win or lose, you can keep the skins in your account, and that's normal. That's like Fortnite. But this is interesting. There is like another mode, which is the scarcity mode or Bitcoin mode. We haven't defined yet a name for this. But it's interesting because the gaming experience is more competitive and attractive, because when they die in the Bitcoin or on this mode, the skins they bought on, they stay on the ground of the game. And if no other users loot the actual loot, the actual skins, they are on the ground, they disappear, reducing the amount of a skin type and creating then a scarcity element within the in-game assets collection. And if any player in the game, any gamer can grab your loot and they stay alive for the actual battle royale match, and they win it, of course, they can sell such items in the Lightnite shop and cash out the profits using Lightning. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and so then as like say, season 2, 3, 4 go on, if more and more things from season 1, say, haven't gotten picked up by the end of the round, then it's, in theory anyways, they're more rare and they're would go for a higher price, right? Like the season 1 items.
Yeah. The limited season 1 items. Yeah, that's right.
So what, of course, Bitcoiners, we kind of are cynical and skeptical at this point. How are you ensuring that scarcity?
Well, so far, we are not actually ensuring the scarcity in a distributed way, at least for the first iteration of the game development. Sure. So instead of going through other distributed services that they can probably or up to debate reduce the friction of implementing this security using other techniques or smart contracts or whatever, we first want to focus our development on a system that we believe, which is Bitcoin, and then before doing other type of distributed services, we like to do this centralized for the first iteration. However, we are still we're in a very alert way, I could say, where we are trying to find as soon as possible the way to make this working on other solutions protocols like RGB or Spectrum protocol, which kind of lets you more have an asset that you can have, like, I don't know, like an NFT or something or whatever, running on top of Lightning, ideally.
Okay, cool. Now let me ask you, so let's say there's in a match you've got 3 players, right? Mm-hmm. And player 1 has an item, they get killed. Player 2 picks the item up. If player 3 kills player 2, what happens to that item from player 1?
They're still in the ground, and
okay,
it will actually be now in the actual body or the player 2, because if he actually makes the loop. So you can grab a few items, that they are skins or cosmetics, in your backpack, but you have actually a limited backpack size, which means you can not hold as many items that you can then resell in the market afterwards.
So you have to choose what you pick up and what you don't.
Yeah, and it's also very cool because in order to create a competitive and fair gameplay before joining to the game, you're actually joining with your skin. Well, in this mode, okay, because you also have other different modes, but on this one, which is the scarcity game mode, when you're in the game room, you are joining with your skins that you are willing to lose or risk for other skins you can then pick up. And you can see other guys in their game room with their assets and their market value. So you can decide whether you're in your room, if this match is not worth the risk with what you're bringing, or is actually good for what you are going to be able to gain if you actually pick up a few assets in the actual gameplay. You know what I mean?
So are you forced to bring some assets into the scarcity mode?
Not force them. I give the option to, in case that you feel like this gameplay doesn't have enough skins that you're willing to bet your skins, then you can leave. So in like the game room, like for example, when you're in a loading screen of the game, you can see what's the others bringing, what skins are they bringing, what cosmetics items or assets are they bringing, and you can decide whether you want to play this or exit the room. So in case you no longer want to risk your assets that you are wearing.
Okay, so but I guess like for me, I'm thinking like, because I'm not a big gamer, mm-hmm. So I would be probably, if they have scarce assets, I'm probably not going to hold on to them unless I'm just holding on to them because I think they're going to be more valuable later, right? Like my end game would be to sell them. So for me, I guess I'm trying to figure out, is it something where I can go, yeah, I'm going to join in on this game with no extra skins. I'm just going to, whatever the bottom version of, because I don't want to lose anything. How does that work?
Yeah. So in case this happens, when you are in the game in the actual room and you're waiting for the game to start, you see the others, and if there is a high amount of users which are not bringing any skins at all, we will give them the time for the guys which are bringing the assets to exit the game room, so they can start one. However, we are actually thinking about implementing a limitation, so I can restrict to at least have one item in the assets. So if you want to play this scarcity mode, you will have to bring one asset. However, this is not confirmed yet. This is something we are looking into. If the actual case you're describing, it becomes a frequent case.
Gotcha. Yeah. I imagine that's no pun intended, but you've got to kind of figure out. You guys have to figure out the game theory stuff on this.
Yeah. No. Absolutely.
Well, I guess maybe we can transition then into the early access information, if you want to talk about that. So like, I guess what's the timeline on release and funding of this project, and how does all that work?
Well, the actual funding, the actual is good. I mean, we're funded and we're gonna deliver this game before November 21st. We just did like this pre-sale in a crowdfunding format for a few reasons. So the first one is the early access. So because you can pre-order before, like we are giving away a few limited amounts of the game in the early access, and you can pre-order it now. And the actual thing that is in a crowdfunding experience or on a crowdfunding checkout is because the community engagement this creates. Because when we are announcing this game in a pre-sale in an early stage through a crowdfunding, it also gives, since the actual users or that they are the backers or supporters of this project, they are already putting money on it. They are already as well bringing feedback, bringing commitment of ideas, and this creates a way healthier way to create a game, a community-driven game development. So that's one of the reasons we did for a crowdfunding style of a pre-sale. And also one of the reasons we are delivering this game in early access is because we can ensure the multiplayer experience. Because when we are selling an early number of copies before releasing the game, if this game, which is actually a multiplayer game, we can make sure there is a minimum user base required for an optimum game experience, because we're talking about a multiplayer game. So it's required to have more than one gamer playing. So we are talking about between 20 and 30 guys playing.
Okay, yeah. So you don't want to just release a game and wait for people to buy it and then hope that enough people show up to make it worthwhile. Okay, that makes sense. Very cool. And so, when does the early access launch?
So we have the early access before the 21st, and based on what we can actually raise in this crowdfunding sorry for the sound. Let me go.
That's all right. I can edit that out. It's not a big deal.
Okay. No, it's because it's a bit noisy now where I am. Okay, so we were talking about the early access, the release, or what was it?
Yeah, so I guess when does the early access? How long do people have to purchase the early access before it gets launched?
How long? Well, we have released around 500 early access copies, so it's like first come, first serve. So the first copy that they are sold, and once the 500 early access copies are sold, then it's closed. There are no more. And the release date is before 21st of November. However, based on this 50K reach goal of the crowdfunding campaign, the more we do in this campaign, the earlier we can confirm we are releasing this. So we're aiming to do several public demonstrations of the game, and we just put the November 21st as the final deadline. However, I can tell you that we can actually make it before, and the more we get in this campaign, the earlier we can provide it.
Awesome, very cool. And so what? And sorry, just one more time. But besides just getting in on kind of the first release of the game, what other benefits do you guys have for the early access?
Yeah, so we are as well releasing this season pass where you will have access to it if you are in the early access, and this gives you so you don't have to actually buy it. So it comes with actual early access, and as well as this, some premium skins and assets are coming along with the season pass and early access, which are exclusively limited edition for the early access contributor, and this will grant the actual owners of these assets to have this content, these cosmetics, where they can eventually sell it for a price in the shop and get rewards of that operation.
Awesome. What's the integration as far as Bitcoin and Lightning stuff goes? Do you guys have preferred wallets or things like that for integrating that mechanism in there?
Well, so far we are working on the LNURL standard for creating the wallets operation seamlessly using LNURL, and this includes the withdrawals. So when users go to the advanced settings and they enable them, they can actually withdraw their balance. And when they do that, then the next screens they see is an actual withdraw using Blue Wallet. And which is, for example, Blue Wallet is integrating this LNURL standard, as well as if they have any other wallets that they support it, we can make it. So yeah.
Very cool. So as long as it supports that standard, it should be good.
Yeah, it should be good.
Cool.
I mean, you can do it in a way where it's UX less friendly, which is using the simple QR code, in case that doesn't match your standards. But we are aiming to do a game which is not focused for Bitcoin users, which this includes that in order to first withdraw, you have to enable the advanced settings, and then once you are withdrawing, it should be the minimum, it should be the less complex process. So it should be a click and then we withdraw it to your account. And in order to do so, we're using this standard. But in case this doesn't work either, we are also implementing the manual way where we're displaying a QR code, you just scan it, and that's basically it.
Gotcha. And then beyond early release, what does the timeline look like for you guys?
So yeah, we just released now the actual pre-sale. We're so close to now to complete the solo, so the single player playable prototype. And after this, during the next 3 months, we are going to be working on the squad and the multiplayer. And then once we have this complete and we have a solid, stable prototype of this version, we're going to be doing some public demonstrations around. I cannot confirm anyone yet, but we have some on our roadmap, and soon I'll be able to confirm it. But after doing these public demonstrations in some events and meetups and more, then we are releasing this beta. And yeah, so that's the actual roadmap. And after the beta, then we is just working on top of more assets, working on top of more content, creating, moving the game forward to expand, like kind of expansion of the game forward to other countries, and creating a bigger community and a bigger game and user base.
And I assume part of that process is taking in feedback from pre-release and beta users, and kind of incorporating that and making the necessary changes.
Yeah, absolutely. This early access and early delivery of the game, even if it's not in a finished version, such as the early access or the beta, is helpful especially for the actually community-driven development, that we receive feedback, ideas, and more context about what's their actual users looking forward to seeing the game experience and the actual UX experience at all.
Now, let me pretend I'm just I'm a gamer, but I'm not into Bitcoin at all. Mm-hmm. What does it look like for me? So, and maybe what in there convinces me to start looking at the Bitcoin side or the scarcity side, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, absolutely. So first, you didn't even have to mention, like, we're not even mentioning some technical names such as scarcity or Bitcoin at all. Well, Bitcoin is not that technical, but what you will see is a game. It's a cartoonist, low poly game. So with some designs that they are, intended to be cartoonish, is not for the attractive cosmetics of the game. It's also for the user base we want to expand. So we want also to go for younger generations of gamers from older. So what you will see is a game that's it may be similar to Fortnite in the actual battle royale context of the mechanics of the game. And once you're playing, you see that you have different modes, and within different modes you can join in different teams, like solo, squad, or duos. And if you play in some modes, you can have different interactivity levels than others. There are some game modes like this one that I was mentioning before, which is the scarcity mode, that, this name is not yet confirmed, but we have a different name, but there is a scarcity element within this game mode. So when you play in this game mode, for example, you are actually interacting with assets in the game that eventually you can own them and sell them in the community market, in the community shop of the game, and making profits of that to actually keep buying more items. Or if you enable the advanced settings, you can withdraw them to your wallet, and then you said you can have a different ecosystem where there is a coin that actually there's a currency system that that is actually outside of this game, and then you may be starting to fall in the rabbit hole. And and at no point Bitcoin is introduced, not even for buying the first assets, because we are integrating fiat payments of skins, assets, cosmetics, products in the games. But you may be playing this game for a year, and you may not realize that this game is actually it's a Bitcoin game. I mean, you think it's a normal game where you have an assets management that you can actually use for your benefits, and have a gaming experience which may be awesome for you because you like battle royales and you like cartoonist game style. So you may have a really good gaming experience. So you may not be even wondering what's Bitcoin at all. So you may be only playing a Bitcoin game without even knowing just Bitcoin integrated. So yeah, that's basically what you will see if you are not Bitcoin enthusiast or a Bitcoin user.
Okay, so let me see if I got this straight. Players can, using fiat on ramps, purchase these assets and then and participate in whatever the scarcity mode ends up being called, where they're trying to get other assets and things like that, and being able to sell them back in the marketplace, these rare assets, and they can participate in all of that without having to externally fund their character.
Exactly.
Through Bitcoin, I mean, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So they can participate in it without having to know that it's a quote unquote Bitcoin mode. Okay.
Yeah, eventually it depends on the actual logistics applied, but for certain users that they're actually making so much score or so much balance in the game, it might be appropriate to give them, to suggest them that they can actually enable these advanced settings and give this enough visibility to give them the opportunity to start using this currency, this economic system, and give them the option to actually extract this value from the game.
Very cool. And then I guess would Satoshi's game take a piece of that, or I guess I'm trying to understand how do you guys make money and stay in business?
So basically it's a freemium game. From the sense that you play for free, but then you have in-game purchases. And for example, the contents of the games that they are in the actual shop, once those assets they are provided by Satoshi's games, it's free revenue. So it's not even, it's all straight revenue. Then prior to the later iterations of the game, when the actual game is released in a final version I'm not talking about the early access, I'm talking about the release. We are making modding available. So let's say that designers, 3D artists, that they create cool cosmetics, they can integrate those cosmetics. A community can review and approve those cosmetics so they can be implemented in the game, which based on votes. And after this voting system takes place and they vote for cosmetics to be implemented, then those 3D artists can sell their assets in the actual market shop. And at this point, once you purchase an item, a percentage of that operation goes directly to the artist as well as us.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. So you could, if you're a 3D artist out there, it doesn't, whether you care about gaming or not, if you're a 3D artist, which I guess there's probably a lot of overlap there. I imagine there's probably not a lot of 3D artists that don't care at all about gaming, but then you're providing a job opportunity in some sense.
Yeah, that's right. In some sense, yeah, and especially with this scarcity mode that can create it can create an economic curve where the early sold copies of that game asset are likely to be cheaper than the last ones, because the more this game is played and the less assets in the early seasons there are, and therefore the higher the cost is at the end.
That's really cool. What about so something that I've been thinking about, and I know that it's a oversimplification to say that this is Fortnite with Bitcoin. I know that's an oversimplification, but there are certain implications. We've seen recently the Fortnite championships. Again, as someone who doesn't play, I see this and see like the incredible amounts of money that are being spent on these tournaments and things. What are your thoughts on things like these tournaments and these payouts, and how does using Bitcoin and Lightning affect things like that? And like we saw, the winner, I think, out of his winnings ended up spending, having to give like a third of it back in taxes. And so, I guess, is there going to be anonymity available for characters, or how does that work?
Well, I think there are a few contexts here that I don't know where should I tackle first. So,
Sorry.
Yeah. So we have the tax element, then we have the tournament and esports, and then I don't know if you also mentioned something about the limited amount or limited supply of characters.
I didn't bring that up, but if that's a thing, go ahead and talk about it.
No, because then maybe I misunderstand it and I didn't get it. So yeah. So what was the specific question again? What's the taxes taking place with the esports model or?
Yeah, I mean, like what's or maybe just your thoughts on how like where esports is and how this fits into that, and how using Bitcoin kind of affects the payment models for esports.
Okay. Yeah. I can tell you about this. My thoughts are that it's interesting if you're willing to create an esports or a tournament model where first, as a player, as a participant of this tournament, you can first put upfront your ticket fee for computing, and then the actual winner of the tournament can have the pool of the rewards. Yeah, of course, based on the legal environment or on the jurisdiction where this tournament takes place, the actual taxes model of the operation of the giveaway of the prize will have affected by the actual context or the environment of the country where this event is taking place. But we are making as well another mode within the game where actually it's in the trailer. If you check it out, there's another mode where it's so similar to one of the games we released, which is called the Lightnite Car, where in order to join the actual game, you have to pay X amount of the satoshis or the balance that you have in your account. And so you no longer have an actual life bar. So you have your life bar of the game, of the character, but those are actually satoshis that you put. And whenever people are shooting at you, they're actually draining your satoshis, and you are actually killing them. And once that user is died, it has died and is down, you can go and grab his satoshis from the game. And if you actually make it to survive and you finish the game, you actually won the battle royale, and you've been actually going around and picking up the satoshis from every player, and you end up being with a ton of balance, a high amount of balance in your account.
Very cool. So then does it work how the previous asset version that we talked about works, where like if someone doesn't walk over there and pick that up, what happens to those satoshis? Yeah.
So what happens with that is like there is a percentage of the satoshi that when you are shooting to a player goes to you directly. However, a majority of the entire amount of the satoshi remain in the ground, and you have to go there and loot it. If you don't go there and loot it, it becomes an asset that is lost.
Okay.
So there's a big incentive to, after going to a player, killing them in the game, and then going to grab his loot, including the higher percentage of the satoshi that he came in. You know this in advance, and when you are actually envisioning an actual attack, or you see two guys or two squads they're killing around, you know that it's such a big reward after killing them to go and grab his loot. So it brings a different strategy for gaming, because you already know what's going to be the likely scenario after one player kills another player, because of this incentive in this specific game mode.
Yeah, so the players are kind of incentivized to get into closer context with one another and all that instead of
and not especially because the loot they may have ammo, they may have shield, or they have a really cool gun. They also have value. So when they're dropping this value, people are willing to go there and grab it, and you can go there, hide it yourself anywhere in the bushes or in a house, and then wait for it and go and ambush them. So yeah,
very cool. What's going to what kind of platforms is this game going to be on eventually?
Eventually, we want to do it as open as possible for every platform. So we want to go for desktop and mobile and consoles. For the early access, though, is going to be uniquely for desktop. And I don't think I can confirm it yet, but we are working to integrate for the early access the Linux, Mac, and Windows.
Okay.
I cannot confirm it this yet because it's pretty early. I can confirm that it's for desktop, and I can as well tell you that we are working on these three desktop operative systems. However, it's not something that I can ensure yet, but we are willing to do this, the three of them. And then we want to open this for the PlayStation, for the Switch, for iOS, and for Android, and for other platforms that can bring this game for the vast majority of the gamer user base. Gotcha.
What does it look like? And maybe you haven't made it this far yet, and that's okay, but what does it look like to, I guess, how much difference is in each of these systems? As someone who's never developed games, like what does that look like to make a version that works for each of these different platforms?
Yeah, so the game is developed on Unity, and Unity provides tools to actually encapsulate the game on different distributed operative systems. Sorry, not distributed, to actually distribute the game in different operative systems. So for desktop, it's relatively easy. And then you have to adapt and modify more for mobile devices as well as for consoles, because then you have to create, in the case of a mobile, for example, when you're developing a native mobile game, you have to create the controllers, so the pads, and those virtual pads are actually in the screen. So you have to actually to make the game develop, so you can have action listeners to the touch events. In the case of the console, for example, you have to develop the game for the controller perspective of having a controller that is connected to the game console, and then it listens to those motions, as well as the networks of that game. They work in a different states, and there are some other things that happen behind the screen that also are important, but there are little details to make the performance of the game as maximum as possible, which are different. Yeah.
Is it? What about I guess you're an independent game, so publishing it. What is publishing like on platforms like the PlayStation Network or things like that? Like what does it take to get your game put onto something like that?
So in the case of PlayStation, for example, you have to apply, and then if you are an actual recognized studio, or they know that the work you are doing is actually in the quality standards they are filtering, then you have to pass for this process as the standard process that happens when you are publishing in consoles. And then if you are lucky, or your product is good, or a combination of both, then you make it to be you make it to actually be in that console, in this publishing console. It's a process you have to go through, and you have to get a confirmation from them, and that confirmation is based on the product quality and the product mechanics, so the actual product itself. So we're very open to distributing as many platforms as possible, but we are aware we have to go through this process. So it's kind of I wanna go to cover all as much as possible. but I'm also aware that it might not be possible, and not because of my end. It's because maybe we have to work on a different aspect of the game or improve a quality standard of a specific game mechanic in order to go through. But it's cool. It's not something that I don't think we are worried about. It's something that we know, and we have experience on this process, so it's not something that is new for us. And we are very optimistic on this.
So, I guess, do you have previous experience doing video game development, and if so, like, I guess for what systems and what consoles, and what does that process look like?
Yeah. So in my case, I have not been working in consoles for publishing games. However, in our team, we have people that they have distributed games in consoles and in several platforms that they all know how the process is, and it's pretty comfortable. So we can just conduct this process of distributing the games in those platforms and consoles and making it as frictionless as possible. So yeah, in my personal case, I'm professional. I don't have any experience on consoles by myself, because I'm not a Unity developer. So I've done games that they run on web, and you don't need to actually have a console for that. But in the team, there are guys which are very focused on that. So they are Unity developers, and they've been doing games for consoles, and they've done it in the past several times. And yeah, we all know how it works. Very
cool. You mentioned earlier that it's kind of a cartoonish style, and that to some extent you're targeting younger viewers. Is there, I guess, probably not so much necessarily on the early release, but as you're trying to get into these more established systems, what is the rating system like, and what does that process look like? You mean the rating system for? Yeah, I mean, I guess, is that maybe a country by country thing, like yeah, like video game ratings? Yeah. No, that's totally right. So it's by country. So each country has a different standards for rating games content in terms of age, and yeah. So far, we haven't gone through the standard of applying this country by country. We are just doing an average sign for 12. So it's a game which is for over 12 years old. And prior to the early access, we are going to tackle more onto this element itself, so we can make sure all of the issues related to the age and the user base limitations based on age are up to the jurisdiction and legal standards. What would you say to maybe somebody who says, after hearing this sounds really exciting, I would like to get into video game development? What are things that they should do to kind of start pushing themselves towards that? In the sense of, you mean it's not in an abstract way where they can just do random game development or contributing in a way to this game development? Either way, actually. Yeah. So in the abstract way, my reply to this person would be, it's cool. I appreciate that you got inspired. I recommend to either, if you have experience, to work as a side project that you can do, and if you don't, work with anyone else that you feel they have enough experience, so you can grow professionally, and then start your own venture. If you want to contribute to this project at some point in Lightnite, is pretty straightforward. In the actual pre-sale, there are a few packages. Some of them are more related for the consuming aspect of the product, so you can use the early access by buying it, and there are some others which are more intended to do two things at the same time, which is, first, we be more in touch with us, so you can buy a package of a sponsorship or a package of major donor, which gives you will give us a lot of contribution and resources that we can make it to either hire more development or more resources for this project, and at the same time
you receive you receive a vote you receive an attention focus from the development team to listen to your ideas or to listen to your suggestions, so we can create a more a project that it also counts on your opinion and your say.
What I mean, I know that you guys are focused on this game a whole lot right now. Do you have ideas for other games already in the future?
No, so far we are. I think we're pretty busy with this, but
Yeah.
But yeah, so far we are focusing on leveraging this game up to the maximum standards of both the Bitcoin industry and gaming industry, and that's our focus. That's our goal. We want to reach this goal. And yeah, so it's pretty ambitious goal to actually let us think in other side projects. But yeah, that's right.
Carlos, how can people look up more information on Lightnite and keep up with what you guys are doing?
So you can subscribe to our newsletter at lightnite.io, and for us also a daily or weekly communication channel. They can connect with us or follow us on Twitter, which is Lightnite Game. And yeah, we also have other social media on Instagram or other social networks in case they use it. And we're also very active on social media. So yeah, either Twitter or the newsletter is a good way to go. And we also have other social platforms that we use, such as Facebook, Instagram, YouTube.
Cool. And then if they actually want to get the early access, where do they need to go?
Yeah, so you can either go to lightnite.io and click on pre-order, or if you want to go straight to the link, it's buy.lightnite.io.
Very cool. So when you purchase the pre-order, there's like a sound clip, right, that plays?
Yeah. It's like a kind of a game cliche, a game Easter egg.
Yeah. It kind of, I was not expecting that. It kind of caught me by surprise when I heard that the other day. Oh gosh. So, anyways, fun little thing there. Okay. Well, Carlos, anything else that you wanted to pass along to the listeners?
Yeah, so I want to say thanks to everyone in this community to make this possible and to let us focus on this game, and all the support we are receiving is great. I could not say with words or describe it the actual good vibe we are receiving from the community, and as well as other contributors in a way that they are actually making this possible, such as BTC Pay Server, which they're doing a great job, and we are building on top of them so we can do this early access, and this pre-order using their product is perfect. And other contributors that, I mean, I could not mention all, otherwise I stay 2 hours here talking, but in general, it's just that I appreciate all the support given, and it's a reward to continue growing this product, and I'm very happy to do so. So thank you.
Awesome. And I think we appreciate what you guys are doing, continuing to kind of like subtly push Bitcoin into different aspects of culture, and clearly gaming is a big thing. Like I said, it's not really my area, but I might be becoming more of a gamer after this. So yeah. I'm definitely going to be checking it out. I got my pre-order because I just thought this is a really cool thing for, just another one of those cool experiments where Bitcoin kind of pushes itself into an aspect of the culture and kind of digs in. So we appreciate what you guys are doing. And personally, I appreciate your time coming on and talking about this.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
All right. You take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, so that's going to be the interview for today. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I am really excited about this game, which is kind of goofy because I have not played video games in a while. But anyways, like I said, I went ahead and bought my early release access. So you guys should too. And support this project because, it's a cool thing that they're working on. It does take time and effort to make this thing. And you will be in kind of on the ground floor of being able to provide feedback, and whether this is something that, different aspects work well and how they could be improved, as well as maybe getting you some sweet rare items or whatever. But I think more than that, just the cool thing that like, you get to contribute to something that hopefully we'll look back on in a couple of years and say, this was a big deal. In the next generation of Bitcoiners, it'll say like, yeah, I didn't know about Bitcoin really until I started playing Lightnite. And then I kind of got, I think Lightnite is going to be one of those things that red pills the next generation. So anyways, check them out. I put links in the show notes to their site and their social media and stuff like that. And there's other things besides just the pre-release access that you can purchase, like he was saying, on their site. So you can go check that out. They've got stickers and shirts and posters. And then, like you said, if you're really into it, you want to be like a large contributor, they have other higher levels that allow you to have more of a communication channel with them for some of this stuff, which is really cool. All right. That's really kind of going to be it. That's all I've got for you this week. From Bottomshelf Bitcoin, I'm Josh Humphrey. Thanks for listening.